The security guard grabbed Vanessa Cole's arm just as the teller shoved the withdrawal slip back across the counter. "Ma'am, you need to step away from the counter," the guard said firmly. Vanessa slowly looked down at his hand gripping her sleeve. Her voice stayed calm, but there was quiet authority behind it. "Please remove your hand." The guard hesitated. Across the counter, the teller leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. "You heard him," she said with a tight smile. "You're holding up the line." Vanessa lifted her eyes and met the teller's stare. "I asked for a withdrawal," she replied calmly. "You refused to process it." The teller scoffed. "You walked in here asking for $50,000 in cash. That doesn't just happen." Vanessa folded her hands on the counter. "It happens when the money belongs to you." A few customers in line leaned forward, pretending not to watch. The teller rolled her eyes. "Yeah, sure." The guard tightened his grip slightly. "Ma'am, we should really step aside." Vanessa turned to him. "Have I raised my voice?"
No.
"Have I threatened anyone?"
No.
"Then why exactly am I being escorted away?" The guard didn't answer. Behind Vanessa, a man whispered, "This is getting awkward." The teller tapped the desk impatiently. "Look," she snapped. "Either step aside or I'll flag your account for suspicious activity." Vanessa slowly exhaled. Suspicious. Her voice stayed calm, but now everyone nearby was watching. The teller nodded smugly. "That's right." Vanessa glanced around the marble lobby. Less than 24 hours ago, she had signed the papers that made her the majority owner of this bank. And now security was trying to remove her from it. She looked back at the guard. "Before anyone escorts me anywhere," she said quietly, "I'd like to speak to the branch manager." The teller laughed. "He's not going to tell you anything different." Vanessa's eyes stayed steady. "We'll see about that." The teller picked up the phone behind the counter. "Yeah, can you call Mr. Daniels?" she said loudly. "We've got a situation up front." Vanessa folded her arms and waited. The security guard finally released her sleeve but stayed close. "Ma'am, it would really help if you cooperated," he said. Vanessa looked at him. "I am cooperating," she replied. "I'm waiting." A woman in line whispered to her husband. "All this over a withdrawal?" Vanessa heard it but said nothing. The teller smirked. "You know," she said, "most people just use the ATM." Vanessa tilted her head slightly. "Most people don't withdraw $50,000 from an ATM." The teller leaned forward. "And most people don't walk in here asking for $50,000 like it's pocket change." Vanessa slid her debit card across the counter again. "That account has been with this bank for 12 years, she said calmly. "There is more than enough money in it." The teller didn't even look at the card. "That's not the point." "Then what is the point?" The teller slowly looked Vanessa up and down. The meaning was obvious. Vanessa felt the familiar sting of being judged, but her expression didn't change. "I'm just doing my job," the teller said. A man behind Vanessa muttered, "Doesn't look like it." The teller shot him an annoyed glance. "Sir, please stay out of it." Vanessa rested her palms on the counter. "All I asked for," she said quietly, "was a withdrawal. And all I said," the teller snapped, "was that it's not happening." Vanessa nodded slowly. "Interesting." The teller frowned. "What's interesting?" Vanessa met her eyes. "That you made that decision without even checking the account." For the first time, the teller looked slightly uncomfortable, but she quickly masked it with another smirk. "Well," she said, "the manager will deal with you." Vanessa gave a small nod. "I'm counting on it." 3 minutes later, the door to the office opened. A tall man in a suit walked out, adjusting his tie as he approached the counter. His name tag read Richard Daniels. "What seems to be the problem?" he asked. The teller pointed immediately. "She's demanding a $50,000 withdrawal and refuses to step aside." Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "That's not exactly accurate." Daniels turned toward her. "Ma'am, if there's an issue with your account, we can schedule a review." Vanessa spoke calmly. "I asked for a withdrawal. Your teller refused to process it." Daniel sighed like someone already tired of the situation. There are protocols for large transactions. Vanessa nodded. I'm aware. Then you should understand that suspicious withdrawals require additional verification. Vanessa looked directly at him. What exactly made it suspicious? Daniels hesitated. Well, the amount. The amount is well within the balance. Yes, but... And I provided identification. Yes, but... Vanessa leaned forward slightly. So again, she said calmly. What made it suspicious? Daniels glanced at the teller. She quickly jumped in. It just didn't feel right. A few customers exchanged looks. Vanessa blinked slowly. Didn't feel right. Daniels cleared his throat. Ma'am, we have to protect the bank. Vanessa nodded once. I respect that. Good, Daniels said. Then you'll understand why we can't process this request today. Vanessa studied his face for a moment. Are you sure about that? Absolutely. The teller folded her arms proudly. Daniels gestured toward the guard. Please escort her out. The guard stepped forward again. Vanessa sighed softly. Before anyone escorts me anywhere, she said, reaching into her bag. There's something you should probably look at. She pulled out a thin folder, then slid it across the counter. Daniels frowned. What is this? Vanessa's voice remained calm. Something important. Daniels opened the folder. The first page carried the bank's corporate letterhead. His eyes moved across the document, then suddenly stopped. His expression froze. Where did you get this? He asked quietly. Vanessa clasped her hands together. I signed it yesterday. The teller laughed. Oh, please. Daniels didn't laugh. He flipped to the next page. Then another. The color slowly drained from his face. That can't be right. Vanessa leaned slightly closer. Oh, it is. The teller frowned. What is it? Daniels didn't answer. He just stared at Vanessa like he was seeing her for the first time. Ma'am, he said slowly. Vanessa tilted her head. Yes, Mr. Daniels? His voice dropped. You're Vanessa Cole. The name rippled through the line of customers. Someone whispered, the entrepreneur? Vanessa gave a small nod. The same one. The teller scoffed. Okay. And Daniels swallowed. You purchased controlling shares of the bank. Vanessa corrected him gently. Not shares. Silence filled the lobby. I purchased the bank. The teller blinked rapidly. I'm sorry, what? Vanessa looked directly at her. I finalized the acquisition yesterday afternoon. Daniels rubbed his forehead in disbelief. You're the majority owner. Vanessa nodded. Which means, she said quietly, this branch, this building, and every account in it, she paused, belongs to me. The security guard immediately stepped back. The teller's confidence vanished. That's impossible. Vanessa pushed the folder slightly closer. You're welcome to read the documents. The teller stared at the papers but didn't touch them. Daniels straightened his tie nervously. Ms. Cole, I had no idea you were coming today. Vanessa looked around the lobby. That was intentional. Vanessa rested her hands lightly on the counter. I wanted to see how customers are treated when nobody knows who they are. No one in the lobby spoke. Vanessa turned to the teller. So let me make sure I understand what happened today. The teller looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her. I walked in quietly, Vanessa continued. Silence. I waited in line like everyone else. Daniels looked down at the counter. I asked for a legitimate withdrawal. The teller's hands trembled. And your response, Vanessa said calmly, was to refuse service, question my account, and call security. I thought, the teller began. Vanessa lifted a hand gently. You thought what? The teller didn't answer. Vanessa nodded slowly. That's exactly the problem. A man near the door whispered, Wow! Vanessa turned back to Daniels. How many customers experience this every day? Daniels looked uncomfortable. I'm not sure. Vanessa picked up the folder. Well, she said quietly, we're going to find out. She slid her debit card back across the counter. Now, she said calmly. About that $50,000 withdrawal. The teller quickly grabbed the card. Yes, Ms. Cole. Her voice had completely changed. I'll process it immediately. Vanessa watched silently as the teller typed nervously. Customers in line whispered to each other. One man said quietly, "They tried to kick the owner out." Vanessa allowed herself a very small smile. But before she walked out of that branch, there was still one more thing she needed to say. The teller finished typing and pushed the receipt forward. "Your withdrawal will be ready shortly, Ms. Cole." Vanessa didn't pick it up right away. Instead, she looked at Daniels. "Mr. Daniels." "Yes, ma'am. Starting tomorrow, every employee in this bank will go through new customer service training." He nodded quickly. "Of course. And we'll be reviewing customer complaints from the past 5 years." The teller's shoulders dropped. Vanessa finally took the receipt. Then she turned toward the exit. Halfway to the door, she stopped and looked back at the silent lobby. "You never know who's standing in front of you," she said calmly. The words hung in the air. Customers watched in disbelief. The teller stared at the counter. Vanessa opened the door and stepped outside into the sunlight. Behind her, the entire bank was still processing what had just happened. The woman they tried to remove, the woman they assumed didn't belong there, turned out to be the one who owned the entire bank. And sometimes the most powerful people walk in quietly just to see how they're treated. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you like the video so more people can see it. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this one. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were standing in that bank watching everything unfold? Because moments like this remind us of something important. Respect should never depend on who you think someone is.